What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. So today what we're going to be talking about is actually a question that I get asked a lot. Actually, recently I posted this picture right here on my Instagram, and whenever I post, like, I guess you could call it like a backwards transformation of when I've kind of gained weight, I get a lot of questions from people on how do I gain weight correctly after I've lost a lot of weight. And this is a really good question because especially if you've lost a lot of weight, the thought of gaining any sort of weight is honestly kind of terrifying. So today, that's what we're gonna be talking about. The first thing that I wanna say in this video is that I personally genuinely believe the best way to keep off unwanted weight, so most likely fat, right, is to actually put on wanted weight or muscle. So it's kind of like counterintuitive to think of I should gain weight to not gain weight, but when you think of it as only weight, that's the issue, right? But when you think of it as fat versus muscle, things you want versus things you don't want, then that's where it's a little bit easier to kind of understand why, you know, I actually do think that gaining weight can help you not gain weight. So let's talk about why I think that actually gaining muscle is really beneficial after you've lost a lot of weight. So first and foremost, and I think the most important point to this video is that the more muscle you have, that means the more calories you burn. Now, the best example that I can give you is myself personally, right? So right now I weigh about 205 pounds, right? In the after picture that you're seeing. So in the before picture, I was actually 180 pounds. And that was, as you guys know, I was prepping for a men's physique show. When I was at my lowest, I was eating 2,100 calories. Now that's not even super low. There's some people that are eating even less than that when they're competing, but that's how many calories I was eating at that time. Now, again, I was trying to lose weight, so I was in the deficit. So I was trying, right? So my calories were pretty low. But now I'm eating anywhere from 4,000 to 4,500 calories every single day. Now, I know that's a drastic change, and not everyone is gonna have that exact same calorie difference, but I am able to eat more calories and I'm not gaining a ton of fat. Obviously, I've gained like, was it 30 pounds, 25 pounds from my show weight, but I feel like a good amount of that is muscle and definitely a good amount of it is fat. I'm not saying that it's not, but I am in a much healthier spot now. And I like to think of muscle as like almost like this buffer zone for yourself, right? For after you've lost a lot of weight, the more muscle you put on, the more calories you can eat. So if you do maybe have a couple slip-ups or anything like that, you just have a bigger buffer zone where you're able to, I don't want you to think like, oh, if I put on more muscle, I can just binge eat, because that's not how it works. But you have that little bit of buffer and it makes maintaining your weight loss just so much easier. The second reason that I think putting on muscle is a good thing after losing a lot of weight is just that mental switch that you have to go through, right, to put on the muscle. When you're losing a lot of weight, you just tend to think only about how many calories you're putting in your body. How can I get my body as small as possible? How can I lose as much weight as possible? But realistically and hopefully you end up hitting that goal weight, right? And then you have to go somewhere from there. This is why I think putting on muscle is such a good thing, because it takes you out of that mindset of I always need to get smaller, I need to cut as many calories out, A lot of people end up with disorders because of that thinking, and you switch that mindset to, okay, now I need to fuel my body for these workouts and try and put on muscle and try and hopefully eventually eat more calories and not gain all that weight back. And the third reason I think that just gaining muscle in general is helpful for after you've lost a lot of weight is that it takes a lot of discipline. I personally, especially after losing a lot of weight and trying to put on muscle, I believe that putting on muscle is actually a little bit more difficult, if not a lot more difficult than losing weight. Because when you're just trying to lose weight, it's calories in versus calories out. It's a pretty basic formula. I'm not saying that it's easy, but you can figure it out and really just kind of stick to the basics and really lose a lot of weight. When it comes to putting on muscle, I really feel like there's so many other variables to it that it really does teach you that discipline, and then you fall in love with this lifestyle. And again, I've always said sustainability is really important, and if you find something that you really enjoy, like for me, putting on muscle, you know, trying to increase my fitness, it just makes keeping weight off so much easier. So with that being said, now I want to talk about common mistakes that I've seen a ton of people make when it comes to trying to gain weight after losing a lot of weight. The first thing is people decide to start gaining weight too early. And now this really comes down to how honest you are with yourself, but you really don't want to be gaining weight, like trying to gain weight if you still have like 30 pounds to lose, 20 pounds to lose, right? Like you really want to be, I'm not saying you have to become emaciated before you decide to start losing weight or start gaining weight, but you have to be at a point where you're like, okay, now I'm at the lowest that I really want to be. Now I need to build from here. It's really important that you start pretty lean, so you're not already starting at a point where you're not super comfortable with your body. You still feel like you have a little bit of fat to lose, because if you try and put on weight from there, you're gonna get 2 weeks into it and decide I need to cut again. And that's just, you're gonna be going in this cycle that people fall into. You know, you bulk for like 2 weeks and you're like, I need to cut again because I don't want to gain too much weight back. So definitely make sure you're as lean as you want to be. Again, you don't have to be emaciated, but as lean as you want to be before you start deciding to put on weight and hopefully put on muscle. And the second mistake that I've seen by far the most of is that people put on weight too fast. Now, if you are going to the gym and you're lifting and you're eating right, you don't want to be putting on more than like a pound a week. And that's like at the most, right? So that's 4 pounds a month. Now, when it comes to gaining muscle, realistically, like even if you're a newbie lifter, because when there's the noob gains, right? When you first start lifting, you do put on muscle pretty quick, but you're not going to be putting on 20 pounds of muscle in a year. It's not gonna happen. So you don't need to be gaining that much weight. Now, again, you're going to be gaining fat when you are gaining muscle. That's just how it works. But if you're 3 weeks, 4 weeks into your bulk and you've gained 30 pounds, you have made a mistake. You have gained too much fat. Now, this third point is definitely gonna be personal preference for me, but I personally think that it's smart to continue doing your cardio while you are trying to gain weight. I don't understand why everyone seems to just stop doing cardio when they decide, okay, now I wanna start gaining weight. Especially if you're someone that has lost a lot of weight, you obviously can put on weight pretty easily, myself included. So I always keep my cardio up, because that just means that your expenditure for the day, the amount of calories that you're burning, is going to be higher. So you're gonna have a nice cushion for yourself. You're gonna be able to eat more calories. So if you just decide, I'm gonna start bulking, I'm gonna cut out all cardio, now the amount of calories that you can eat is even less. So I really recommend, it's not like you have to go and kill yourself in the gym, but still continue doing some cardio sessions every week, so you're still burning a little bit more calories, so you have a little bit more room to play with. Now, the fourth thing, I think this goes without saying, but I just wanna make sure that I say it. If you are deciding to gain weight after losing weight, make sure you're doing something that's going to be adding muscle, right? So do some powerlifting, do some CrossFit, some bodybuilding, something that's going to increase your muscle mass. Because if you're eating those extra calories, you want them to be going to something of use, right? So make sure you're doing some physical activity. Like, this is when it's important, really important, to start hitting the gym and really ramping up those workouts, because you're having those extra calories and you want to be putting them to use. So make sure you find something you enjoy. Again, you can do whatever you want, but make sure you find something that you enjoy, so you're actually using those calories that you're consuming. And the fifth point really ties into literally everything that we've said today, but you have to be honest with yourself. Just because you are gaining weight doesn't give you a card to just go YOLO bulk and go crazy, because I guarantee you're gonna go get 3-4 weeks into this and decide, I need to start losing weight again because I gained weight way too fast, and you're gonna be stuck in that cycle. I'm telling you right now, like, whatever it is that you did to lose the weight, just try to apply that to you trying to gain a little bit of weight, right? Like, if you tracked calories or tracked macros while you were losing your weight, do that while you're gaining weight and just add a little bit more calories and macros. If you just kind of like decided to eat clean, right, and you weren't really tracking anything, continue to eat the same types of foods, but just eat a little bit more. This is what has worked for me. This is what I really recommend to people. You have to be smart. You have to be honest, because the only person you're lying to is yourself. And the last thing that I want to say is that if you are feeling anxious about this, if you're stressing out about this, if you're nervous about this, that's completely normal. It is very, very, very normal to feel like that. That's exactly how I felt, and there's still times where I kind of struggle with it as well. So it's completely normal. Just every time that you decide to maybe try and gain a little bit of weight, or something goes wrong and you feel like, man, I really messed up that time, always try and learn from that experience. Always try and figure out, why did I overeat? What happened there? What was going on there? And then you can learn from every mistake that you make, and it's not even a mistake, right? It's just a learning experience. So just understand that things are probably going to go not perfect, and that's completely fine, and just try and learn from every single little misstep that you might have. So there it is, you guys. That is why I think it's good to gain weight if you wanna not gain weight after you've lost a lot of weight. I hope that the video answered some of your questions, or at least, you know, gave you some insight into what I do with my routine. I really, really appreciate you guys watching the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. There was one other thing that I wanted to say. Look how buff I am.
Obey the warning signs, and when there are flashing lights or wigwags, don't attempt to cross until they come to a complete stop.